Hello, good morning, good evening, everybody. I'm Vaidya Manvikar. I would like to welcome you all to the CAR Council for Ayurveda Research series. The Council for Ayurveda Research is an international non-profit organization based out of the USA with its sister chapter in India by the name of Ayurvidya Anusandhan Abhiyan Foundation, AAAF. Our mission is to encourage, educate, and facilitate basic clinical and interdisciplinary research in Ayurveda. Our vision is to promote and establish Ayurveda as an evidence-based health science globally. You can learn more about us at www.ayurvedaresearchusa.org. Please do consider joining us as a member, which will bring you access to all our resources. No nonprofit can operate and succeed without the volunteers. So consider joining us as a volunteer and we can place you in a variety of projects based on your skills and also your interest. Once again, our website is www.ayurvedaresearchusa.org. Now let me introduce our platinum sponsor, Komal Herbals. It's a company based in Pennsylvania. It is focused on the concepts of Ayurveda and the power of being healthy using herbs and natural products. Komal Herbals work hard to find premium ingredients for their herbal formulations. They also source herbs and spices that are sustainably and organically grown around the world. If you want to find out more about the Komal Herbals, please go to their website komalherbals.com so that you can learn more about them. Now, let me introduce our eminent speaker today. Hello. Namaste, Professor Vaidya Upendra Dixit ji. He is a chief consultant at Dixit Ayurved, Goa. He completed his BA-MS from Pune University in 1992. He did his MD in Basic Principles of Ayurveda, Gujarat Ayurveda University, Jamnagar, 1995. He did his PhD in Basic Principles of Ayurveda, Pune University, 1999. MA in Sanskrit, Tilak Maharashtra Vidyapit, Pune, 1994, with Ayurveda Darshan as principal subject. He has been selected as Rashtriya Ayurveda Guru by Rashtriya Ayurveda Vidyapit under Department of Ayush, Government of India. He worked as a member of Higher Education Committee for implementation of new educational policy appointed by Government of Goa. He is a member of editorial board in the new international edition of Charak Samhita project by Basisht Orlando, USA, and FHED, India. He has a vast experience of teaching. He has been teaching 24 years as a UG teacher and 10 years as a PG teacher. He has a 24 years of teaching experience in Samhita Siddhanta, specifically Charaka Samhita. He is ex-professor and HOD Department of Basic Principles of Ayurveda, Gomantak Ayurveda Mahavidyalaya and Research Center, Shiroda, Goa. He is ex-professor and HOD Department of Basic Principles of Ayurveda, late Kedari Radekar, Ayurveda Mahavidyalaya, Kolhapur. He has received many scholarly awards by prestigious organizations. Received Sandu Ayurveda Bhushan Award in...
Okay, I found this on the web for received say.
Sorry about that. He received Sandu Ayurveda Bhushan Award in 2018, National Level Hari Om Gold Medal for Best Research in Basic Principles in Gujarat Ayurveda University, Jamnagar, 1999. Received Karya Bhushan Award from Tilak Ayurveda Mahavidyalaya, Pune. Received Dhanvantari Award sponsored by Sandu Pharmaceuticals for contribution in the field of Ayurveda in 2015, received Vaidya Shastri Nanal Memorial Charak Award by Vaidya Khadiwale Samstha, Pune in 2019. He received Gamma Legend Award given by Goa Ayurvedic Medical Association for outstanding contribution in the field of Ayurveda in Goa state in 2020. He has been honored as a successful doctor of Ayurveda by Vasishta's Ayu Remedies in 2021. He has also written many scholarly articles. More than 50 scientific articles have been published in various scientific journals. Flux of Existence, Ayurvedic Vision, Study of Panchamahabhootas and Brahma, Science and Technology in Ancient India, section on Ayurveda has been published. He has delivered more than 172 guest lectures on Ayurveda. He has been invited as expert in the International Symposium of Health and Inflammation organized by College of Medicine, University of Central Florida, USA in October 2015. Currently, he is working as a guide for PhD at Ayurveda Department, Tilak Maharashtra Vidyapit, Pune. And in the past, he has also worked as a guide for MD at Maharashtra University of Health Sciences. We are very blessed to have you today. I would love you to speak about your topic.
Thanks for the introduction. And today I'm speaking on conceptual and experimental studies on Panchamahabhootas. So at the outset, I pay my tributes to Guruji, late Bhratray Ratna Vaidya Atmanam Shastri Datar, who used to practice on the basis of Panchamahabhootas and who inspired many students of Ayurveda like me to learn more about Panchamahabhootas and its applications in practice. My study is based on data comprising of around 9,000 references from various sources like Vedas with Sayan Bhashya or on Muvat and Mahidhar Bhashya on Yajurved, Upanishad 223 Upanishad with important commentaries like Shankar Bhashya, Puran, important texts on Darshan and their commentaries, then Ayurvedic classics and their commentaries, other ancient texts, and modern literature on astrophysics, physics, and other literature which is related to Panchamahabhootas, because Panchamahabhootas are considered as the building blocks of the universe in Ayurveda and in the ancient sciences, and therefore Panchamahabhootas are linked with the origin of the universe, and therefore astrophysics and physics presently what concepts they are presenting and how they are related to the ancient concept of Panchamahabhootas, that also has been studied. So about the concepts. So from various references which we got from all these ancient texts, and by comparing them with the latest concepts in modern physics and other modern sciences, what we understood about the concept of Panchamahabhootas. In brief, first I will present, and then the study was performed in 3 parts. First part is the conceptual part, then second experimental studies, and the third was clinical studies. So a brief review of all that I'm going to present here. In Ayurveda and in other ancient Indian sciences, it is believed that man is an epitome of the universe. That is, man is miniature of the nature. So everything which is in the nature is found in the human body. And on what basis this can be said? Because it is said that 5 principles, Panchamahabhootas and Brahma, that means total 6 principles, they constitute the universe, and 5 principles, Panchamahabhootas and representative of Brahma, that is Atma, that is soul in the human body, they constitute the living body. So therefore, the living body, that means human beings and all other living beings, they are that way linked with nature because they are constituted by the same principles. Same principles exist outside the body and inside the body, and that way they are interconnected. So therefore, what we can say that we interact with the universe outside, with the nature outside. And how do we interact? That means how do we interact with the external world? So we may say internal world and external world. So how do we interact with the external world? So mainly by using our senses. We use our senses to interact with the nature. So therefore, from our viewpoint, what we can understand about the nature, that there are certain things which we can see, there are certain things which we can touch, there are certain things which we can feel by the smell of that. So like that, in 5 categories, we can understand the universe. In the same way, Nobel laureate Sir James Jeans, he wrote in his book, The New Background of Science, that matter may be defined as that which is capable of originating objective sensations, sensations which can be perceived by anyone who is suitably conditioned to receive them, as for instance, by sending rays of light into our eyes. And then further he wrote that we get 5 types of such sensations. That means in the form of, we can see certain things, we can touch certain things, we can take smell of certain things, we can listen to certain things, and we can taste certain things. And therefore he went ahead and he said that therefore the matter can be divided into 5 categories. So in the same way, in ancient India, they consider that the matter can be divided into 5 categories based on 5 senses with which we interact with the external world. And therefore, from where these 5 categories come? So there must be 5 principles. And these principles must be constituting the universe. And this might be the basis of understanding the concept of Panchamahabhootas. The Panchamahabhootas, as the name itself suggests, Bhoot means that which is originated and that which exists. Bhu Sattayam and Bhu Bhavane, that which is originated and that which exists. Anything that which exists, that which is originated, that can be called as Bhoot. And these 5 principles, they are called as Mahabhuta because they are present in each and every object which is present in the universe. And that's why they are called as Mahabhuta. So about the evolution of the universe, a lot of references are available, and in details the process of the evolution of the universe is described in our ancient texts. And when we compare it with the modern concepts, we are astonished that there are lots of resemblances. That means the modern researchers are mostly supporting the ancient concepts. But we are not going in details of all the concepts related to the evolution. But only one concept I'm going to put forward in front of you. That is, in Ayurveda and in other ancient texts, it is said that from Avyakta, Mahat was produced, from Mahat, Bhutadi Ahankar was produced, and from that, in the order, specific order, first Akash, then Vayu, then Agni, then Ap, and then Prithvi. These 5 principles, which are called as Panchamahabhootas, they were originated. And then they said that from these principles, when the Mahabhutas were formed, the Mahabhutas united in such a way that they form something which they called as And in Vayu Puran, in Garuda Puran, and this concept is also described in Manusmriti. And they said in Manusmriti, it was said that this under consists of energy of crores of suns. So here, Vayu Purana and Garud Purana, what they have said, that the total Avyakta was not converted into Mahat, but 1/10 part of that was converted into Mahat, 1/10 part of that was converted into Bhutadi, and so on. So the present universe is in the form of this black sphere, which is shown in the middle, and it is all surrounded with 10 times Prithvi. 10 times to Prithvi is the principal Jal or Aap. 10 times to the principal Aap is the principle of Agni. They are surrounding this universe. So the universe is this much, and these principles, they are still surrounding this universe. And therefore, now people translate these 5 principles as ether or space, then wind, then fire, water, and earth. But this is not fair, because these principles are such tall concepts that by using these words, we are limiting them. See, Aap, Jal, water is not water. Water is just one of the forms which is constituted by all 5 Mahabhutas, all 5 principles, in which Jal Mahabhut is predominant. And there are many other forms of Jal which are existing in the universe. We will learn more about that next. So therefore, we should use the original words only, and because these words like wind, etc., they confuse people who want to learn about Panchamahabhut. This concept of Panchamahabhut can be learned at 3 levels: the level of Tanmatra, the level of Mahabhut, and the level of Panchabhautik objects which are present around us, which are made up of all 5 Mahabhutas. So in various ancient texts, they have used various words like Tanmatra, Parmanu, Bhut, Sukshma Bhut, etc. And they have their own peculiar concepts about that. But if we go through all these concepts, we find that they are almost parallel. Of course, there are little differences between them, but they are almost parallel. So what is Tanmatra? So Tanmatra, no one can see them because they are so much subtle. See, in our ancient texts and in Ayurveda, it is said that everything which is present in the universe is made up of all 5 Mahabhutas. Everything. That means we cannot see atoms. No one can see subatomic particles except photons in a very dark room. The person who is having very sharp vision might see a photon sometimes, but otherwise it is difficult to see the subatomic particles. And protons, neutrons, etc., they are made up of quarks. They cannot be seen because they are beyond the range of our sight. That's why. And by even using the sophisticated instruments also, all such particles cannot be seen. But still, their existence has to be believed. And now we are talking about something. These quarks are also, according to Ayurveda or other ancient sciences, they are also made up of all 5 Mahabhutas, because everything which is present in this present universe is made up of all 5 Mahabhutas. So therefore, if atom cannot be shown, if subatomic particles cannot be shown, we cannot show these 5 principles, which are even more subtle than all these atoms and subatomic particles. So that's why they cannot be shown, but their presence can be proved by their actions, which can be understood. So no one can see Tanmatra, but Tanmatra are represented by these symbols. And these symbols also are having their significance and their applications in various fields and in clinical applications also. For example, Vayu is shown with a spherical shape and blue color. Agni is shown in a triangular shape and red color. Aap, Mahabhut, the Tanmatra of Aap is shown in crescent shape and white color. And the Tanmatra of Prithvi is shown in square shape and yellow color. According to some text, it is having black color. These symbols are also important. For Akash, no symbol is mentioned and no color or no shape is mentioned for that, but we have represented it like this in dotted lines because it is not having any particular shape. and it is not having any particular color which is not mentioned. All these concepts are very important practically, but presently we are not going in details of that. Wherever you find motions, you find circular shapes mainly used. In wheels, in fans, circular shapes are used. So these symbols are significant. In Ayurveda also, these symbols are significant. This Mahabhut is crescent shaped. For example, there are 5 types of asthi, bones, described in Ayurveda. And bones are having their own Panchabhutic composition. But why 5 types? Are they linked with 5 Mahabhutas in any way? Is particular Mahabhut predominant in particular type of bones? Then you can understand that Danta are also, teeth are also considered as part of asthi, bones in Ayurveda. And these Danta are arranged in this form, in crescent shape, and they are having white color. And they are also called as Ruchakasti. That means they are responsible for taste. And taste is a specific quality associated with Jal Mahabhut. And that's why you can understand how this is linked. And all these things are having clinical applications. Like, for example, this Danta, once we understand that they are having link with Aap Mahabhut, then we understand that in the actions of Chandra Prabha, they have mentioned that it acts on Danta Rog. Chandra Prabhavati, it is said that it acts on Danta Rog. Then we understand that because Chandra Prabha, not only it improves the conversion from Med to Asthi, and that's why it acts on bones, but specifically on Danta, because it is performing proper conversion of Apyaush, that means Aap Mahabhut predominant materials. And that's why it is specifically acting on Danta. And therefore, in toothache, even Chandra Prabha can be used, or in other diseases of tooth, the teeth, Danta Chandra Prabha Vati can be used. So therefore, all these concepts which I'm mentioning, they're all having clinical applications. But due to time restraint, we will not explain each and every concept and its clinical applications in details. Just few examples we are taking here. So what is Tanmatra? Tanmatra, this word is made up of 2 parts, Tat and Matra. So there, all these 2 parts are significant. Tat means it is indicated that Tanmatra is consisting of only a particular Mahabhut, only that much, nothing else. It is purest form. No other Mahabhut is conjugated with it. And it also contains Matra. That means a specific quantity, a quantum is also represented by that. So therefore, what is Tanmatra? They are smallest units of Mahabhutas, and which are further considered as indivisible. And they are specific quantum of that Mahabhut category. They are also the purest unconjugated forms, and that's why only Tat, only that much, this word is used. And they can't be perceived owing to limits of our senses. We are having very much limitations for our senses. So only what we can see, that which exists. We can't say like that, because in the universe, 95% dark matter and dark energy exists, and only 5% around visible matter and energy exists. That is according to the science. So only what we can see, that much is the universe. If that way we will start thinking, it will be wrong even according to the modern sciences. So therefore, Tanmatra, they cannot be seen because of our limitations of our senses. But the actions of Mahabhutas can be understood, and on the basis of that, their existence has to be proved. But Dallan, a commentator on Sushrut Samhita, has said that Tanmatra can be pursued by yogi. Then this Tanmatra, with a specific procedure called as Bhutantranupravesh, that means one Tanmatra unites with the next Tanmatra in the order. So Akash Tanmatra unites with the Tanmatra of Vayu, and from that the structure which is formed is called as Dviguna Vayu, because it is having the properties of Akash as well as Vayu. So Dviguna Vayu. Then Triguna Agni. 3 properties are present in it. Like that, this can be symbolically represented. And finally, what is produced is Panchaguna Prithvi. That means it is having properties of all 5 Mahabhutas in it. For all what I'm saying, I have given the references below from the ancient texts. Then comes the procedure of Panchikaran. Panchikaran cannot be directly understood at the level of Tanmatra because Tanmatra is further undivisible. And in Panchikaran, what is said that two parts take place, and then one of these parts gets further divided into four parts, and then one of the part is exchanged with the other Mahabhutas, and that way Panchikaran takes place. But Tanmatra are indivisible, and that's why it cannot take place at the level of Tanmatra. Therefore, Tanmatra first unite with the process of Bhutantaраnupravesh, and therefore some little bit gross structures are produced in the form of Dviguna Vayu, Triguna Agni, etc. And then at that level, this Panchikaran process takes place, and then Mahabhutas are formed. And as per the reference given in Manusmriti, after these two procedures, this way the Mahabhut can be symbolically represented. See, it is having predominant, this is the symbol of Akash Mahabhut. In that, predominant part is of Akash, but even parts from other Mahabhutas are shared in it, and that's why it is called as Panchikaran. All five are present in all five Mahabhutas now. Now, the ancient texts have not said that this Panchikaran takes place only once. So this Panchikaran can repeat several times, and then the present forms of the materials which are around us, they originate. And they have also not said that these divisions are equal divisions. That they have not said anywhere. So these may be unequal divisions, and that gives us the explanation that why all Akashiya Bhav are not the same around us. All Parthiv Bhav around us are not the same. All objects which are having predominance of Prithvi, but they are not all same because of the proportionate difference and because of several conjugations among them. These differences are produced. Then, like we discussed in Rigved, Vayu Purana, and Manusmriti, they said that these Mahabhutas, they further unite and they form an Anda. That Anda is described to have energy of crores of suns, and that explodes and the present universe comes into existence, it is said. Now see, in the Big Bang model also, they call something as technically as singularity. And the singularity is described as something which is having almost zero volume, but infinite energy. And see, surprisingly, they are also calling it as cosmic egg. So they have also used the term like under egg. They have used under in ancient text means egg. So they have also used the same word. And that way the universe is, present universe is formed. Now in the present universe, Sarvam Dravyam Panchabotikam Asminarthe, said Charak Samvita. That means all the objects around us are made up of all five Mahabhutas. All five Mahabhutas are present in each and every object which is present around us. So that's why we said that even the subatomic particles, as per Ayurveda, they are also made up of all five Mahabhutas. Why? For example, say take photon. See, photon is a chunk of energy. It's a specific quantum of energy. It is a quantity. So this energy, it is having negligible volume, but there is a volume. There is a material form which is linked with Prithvi. So that means Prithvi is in negligible form present in it. Then this energy is contained in this particle. It is held together. So Sneha and Bandha, that means gluing together the materials, is the function of Aap Mahabhut, and that's why we will say that Aap Mahabhut present in it. Of course, Agni is present in it because it is containing energy, radiant energy, and photon is considered as the fastest moving particle. So that means, according to us, Vayu Mahabhut must be present in it because it is responsible for all the movements, and this energy is in a very small volume. This chunk of energy is arranged, and that's why it is having a very small amount of space in it, and that's why Akash is also present in it. That way, in everywhere we can understand the presence of Panchamahabhootas. So in subatomic particles also, according to us, they are also made up of all five Mahabhutas. So therefore, someone will say that, oh, now we have found these subatomic particles, and are they Mahabhut? Are they Tanmatra, about which we were talking? No. Tanmatra and Mahabhut are even more subtle than them. So these subatomic particles are also made up of all five Mahabhutas, but all the materials can be classified based on predominant Mahabhutas in it. So therefore, these particles also we can classify as Vayaviya, the particles in which Vayu Mahabhuta is predominant. For example, virtual force carrying particles or bosons, they are called as bosons. They are, see, these particles cannot be detected even by particle detectors easily, but their existence is proved because they leave one matter particle and they bombard on other matter particle, force carrying particles, and that's why they make changes in both the matter particles. So the actions are known, but this particle cannot be seen or particle cannot be detected. Similarly, that is the peculiarity of Vayu, and that's why we will say that Vayu Mahabhut is predominant in it, but it is not Vayu Mahabhut, it is not Tanmatra, it is containing all 5 Mahabhutas, but Vayu is dominant in it. Similarly, photons are Agneya, that means Agni is predominant in it. Gluons, in them Aap Mahabhut is predominant because Sneha and Bandha, these functions of Aap Mahabhut can be observed in them. And all other particles are Parthiv as per us, that means Prithvi predominant. And why this? Because we are talking about the particles observed on the surface of Earth. And Earth is Prithvi, and Prithvi Mahabhut is predominant on the planet Earth. And that's why majority of the particles which are found here, they are having predominance of Prithvi. This universe, it is said in Charak Samvida that avyaktat vyaktatam yati vyaktat avyaktatam puna. From the unmanifest to the manifest. From the unmanifest, the universe is manifested, and the universe again gets dissolved and again originates. W.B. Bonner, a British-born scientist, he presented a paper and he said that the present universe has undergone under the process of evolution and dissolution several times before. So therefore, the same thing is said in ancient texts, that from unmanifest to manifest and from manifest to unmanifest, in a cyclic way, the universe revolves. As long as the existence of universe, according to the ancient sciences, is based on how we view it, our view. See, physics now says that a particle does not exist itself. It exists because we observe it. Our act of observation crystallizes the existence of the particle. So how we view the universe is very important. In the past, physics used to say about observer and certain phenomena. Now physics talks about not observer, participator. When someone views the incidents, that viewing also makes some changes in that event as per physics now. And that's why participator, this word is used now. So how we view the universe is also very important. So according to the ancient text and according to Ayurveda, how we are viewing the world, depending upon that existence of the world, depends on that. So the understanding about the universe and the vision about the universe present in mind of each one, each living being, total the consciousness of all the living beings, that is important for the existence of this universe. Now brief concepts about 5 Mahabhutas which are found in all these 9,000 references. A very brief account I am giving, although some certain words which I am using, you may find that they are similar to the modern physics, but this is mere translation of the ancient text. It is totally based on the ancient text, and the references are also given below. Akash, it is said that it has space in it. Earth, heaven, and everything is contained in it. It originates, everything originates from it, and ultimately everything dissolves in it, and it is considered as eternal. Non-resistance is its important characteristics, and it is ubiquitous, that means vibhu. It is present everywhere. See, Akash is something subtle, omnipresent. See, if nothing is present, then that is Akash. This is a wrong concept. That means Akash is not negation, or Akash is not when everything is absent, then that is Akash. Not like that. Akash is something which is positively present. It is subtle and omnipresent. It is present everywhere, because from Akash everything else evolves, and that's why Akash cannot be negation. That means then we will have to say that everything originates from nothing, but that is not true. So Akash is something which is positively existing. Vijnan Bhikshu, in 16th century, he told that Karan Akash and Karya Akash, like that two at two levels we can study Akash. So at the macro level, now we can compare. This is just a comparison. At the macro level, we can compare the concept of space with Akash, because presently the space is considered as all occupied with subtle energy. Japanese scientist Hideki Yukawa, he presented his paper and he said that space is all occupied by a field. Previously, it was considered that particles are present always, and from particles fields are originated, and for each particle different fields will be there. Now modern physics says that field is the ultimate reality. One scientist, Chepak, he presented his paper on that, and he said that field is the ultimate reality. Field always exists, and from field particles evolve, and the particles get dissolved into the field. And now it is considered that for each particle there are not separate fields. There is a unified field from which all particles are originated. So something like that is the concept of Akash. So space all occupied by field which is containing subtle energy. That way, presently we can understand the concept of Akash. And at micro level, space or field is required, space is required for configuration of subatomic particles. So that is the concept of Akash at minute level. In ancient times, they were having such advanced concepts. For example, Surya Siddhanta is a text from 5th century BC. And this 5th century BC text gives us various formulae to understand position of stars and planet at a given time and their motions at a given time in the space time. That means in Akash. So this is one example of a dial prepared by Surya Siddhanta in 5th century BC, remember, to calculate movements of the stars and planets and positions of stars and planets. Now from Cambridge University and from other parts of the world, they have presented books containing comparative study of the methods of Surya Siddhanta and the present advanced methods. And by both ways, the things are calculated about the position and movements of stars and planets. In both ways, it is calculated as per the methods given by Surya Siddhanta and as per the modern techniques, and it is found that they are almost equal. So such advanced techniques were present at the time of Surya Siddhanta 5th century BC, whereas in Europe and other countries, they were discussing in 16th century that whether the earth is flat or spherical and whether sun revolves around earth or earth revolves around the sun. So therefore in ancient India, they had very advanced knowledge, but unfortunately because of various foreign invasions and all, they could not carry on the scientific spirit further, and they could not make further studies. And that's why presently in India, now we are again independent and now we have to advance further. So in Yoga Shikhopanishad, it is said that Akasham Mandalakaram. So the Akash, the concept now we have learned that space time is the Akash. And similar way, Sir Stephen Hawking in his book, A Brief History of Time, he has given this figure that from Big Bang to Big Crunch, the universe in space-time appears as Mandalakar. So I found very much similarity in between the two concepts, the ancient concept and the concept present by eminent scientist of the world, Sir Stephen Hawking. And therefore, with his permission, when he was there, I had sent him a mail, and with his permission, I am quoting this here. Now about Vayu, in brief, it is described that Akash is its seat, and it originates from Akash, and it is contained in it. It is having continuous vibratory motion, which is called as praspanda technically, Vayu, and it produces the same movement, same vibratory motion in all other particles. It can proceed even tortuously in all the directions. It is imperceptible, but its functions can be seen. various functions like regulation of planetary motions, manifestation of flowers, fruits, etc., influencing the flow of river, etc., are attributed to Vayu. Now you will be surprised. That's why I told that these concepts should not be translated as earth, wind, etc. If we'll translate Vayu as wind, we cannot explain how wind can regulate planetary motions or how wind can influence river flow. So because Vayu is not mere wind, wind is just one of the forms made up of all five Mahabhutas in which Vayu is predominant. But Vayu is having different other forms also. So it is said in ancient text that in the external world, there are 49 types of Vayu. 49 types of Vayu. And for example, in Surya Siddhanta, they have described about Pravaha Vayu. And it is said that this Pravaha Vayu originates from sun and it bombards on earth and other planets. And it regulates the motions of the planets. Now, in the present day, they describe about solar wind, which is similar to Pravaha Vayu. Solar wind is also not wind that way. They are magnetic waves, specific kinds of magnetic waves. Similarly, Pravaha Vayu is not a wind as such. So like that, the 49 types of Vayu, they regulate different functions in the universe. And if you will study each of these types, then it can develop into 49 wonderful sciences. That much potential is there in that. So Pravahavat, solar wind, this is symbolic representation of that. So Vayu, the concept in the micro world, can be compared with force carrying particles, and in the macro world, in the universe, of course, 49 types of Vayu which regulate the various activities in the universe. Now in brief about Agni. So Agni is considered as the agency which transforms or metamorphoses everything in the universe. Agni is present everywhere in every part of the universe, and it gets different names as it manifests in different forms. In Kathopanishad, they have said that Agni Yathaiko Bhuvanam Pravishta Rupam Rupam Pratirupo Bhavuva. So it acquires different forms and manifests in different forms in different parts of the universe, and accordingly it gets different names. Agni is also not just fire. Fire is just one of the manifestations of Agni. It is made up of fire, is made up of all five Mahabhutas, but Agni is predominant in it. In Ayurveda, 3 types of Agni are described, as you all know: Bhutagni, Jataragni, and Dhatuagni. It is said in Rigveda that Agni manifests in 3 worlds: earth, its atmosphere, and in the open space, in the form of fire, electricity, and cosmic rays, like that. Agni, it is described as Ashrayashaha. So that means it requires some substratum to manifest. So, and it is said that it mostly uses Prithvi as its substratum to manifest. But it is said that it can travel through space also. And we know that photon can travel into space with highest speed. It is said that it fills Earth, the environment, the interplanetary space with radiations. So concept like cosmic radiations is also described in Vedas and in various other ancient texts. Various types of Agni are described by Vaisheshik Darshan, like Bhauma, Divya, Udarya, and Akaraja. So according to various Upanishads and according to Vaisheshik Darshan, the glow of stars is also a kind of Agni. It is in Rigveda and in Upanishads and various other ancient texts, it is said that Agni manifests in mainly 2 forms: light and heat. And see, in Rigveda, I have quoted the references here. In Rigveda, the description about light and heat is in both particle as in wave form. In Rigveda, I am saying, which is the most ancient literature in the world available. So in that, it is described in both ways, in particle form as well as wave form. So since long we were knowing, but we did not continue with that, and we did not explain to the world that we have these concepts with us. Still, there is a time that we will wake up and explain to the world that this we had, and now we will apply it and make use of that, specifically in Ayurveda, to cure the patients. In Prashnopanishad and certain other texts, they have named the smallest unit of Agni as Tej, and it is said that it is having constant vibratory motions and power to penetrate everything, and it is said that it is fastest moving. This kind of description quite resembles with the present description of photon. So in macro world, the Agni can be compared with mainly different forms of radiant energy, and in micro world, photons are Agneya particles, that means Agni predominant particles, not exactly Agni. Agni is third among the Mahabhutas, and it keeps balance. See, Aap and Prithvi lead to Sthul, that means gross forms, and Akash and Vayu lead to Sukshma, that means very minute forms. And Agni keeps balance between this. So Agni keeps balance in this universe. Mahabhutas form groups. Akash and Vayu usually form a group. Aap and Prithvi form a group, and Agni keeps balance in between these two groups. Aap. It is described in ancient texts that Aap is present in the whole universe and it spreads all over the space. Now you will understand that why Aap should not be translated as water. Water is just one of the forms. Water is containing all five Mahabhutas, but Aap Mahabhut or Jala Mahabhut is predominant in it. But there are various other forms of Aap Mahabhut also present in the world. Now see these references from various ancient texts, that it is present in the whole universe and it spreads all over the space. And we know that all over the space, water is not spread. There is no ocean in the space. So it must be something else. It is said that it has powerful energy, and it is said that Agni resides in Aap. This is also a very significant concept. And in Rigved, at least at 3 places, they have mentioned that Agni resides in Aap, and they have narrated a story that Agni was running and Agni took hiding in Aap, and because of Aap, the body of Agni was contracted. But then when Agni came out of that Aap, it became more powerful. This is just all these stories, they're symbolic. So that means from what we understand, that from the wheeling, from the avaran of Aap, when Agni comes out, then Agni is even more powerful. Now we will understand that why in Sharad Ritu Pitta Prakop takes place. That because of from the wheeling of Aap, which is predominant in Varsha Ritu, when Agni comes out, that time it is even more powerful. And that's why in Sharad Ritu more Pitta Prakop. Now you will understand why Lavad is most Ushna among all the 6 rasa, because it is coming from the avaran of Aap. It is coming out, and then Agni becomes more powerful. So whatever in the ancient text they have written in symbolic way, it is all significant and it is all practically applicable and useful. Now they describe one form of Aap called as Salil in the evolution, and there what I have written is exactly translation of what the ancient texts have said, that it is said that it is unsteady state of matter with constant waves and fluctuations. So see, in present day, in the Big Bang theory, they describe about a primordial matter soup, and it also is described in the same way, unsteady state of matter with constant waves and fluctuations. So there are a lot of similarities. There is a famous book called as Dancing Masters of Wu Li or Wu Lai. I don't know the exact pronunciation of that, which is a Chinese concept. And it is a review of modern physics. And in that, they have given one thing, that one young artist, he had his own painting, and he went to a gallery and he wanted his painting to be placed in that gallery. And therefore, he met the curator over there. And the curator was surprised to see that painting. The curator went inside and he came with another very much ancient painting. And it was exactly same. this young artist had not seen the ancient painting, but still he imagined about the same thing. In that book, it is told that it is the same story. It is told that that means the ancient Indian concepts. Modern physicists are not influenced by those concepts. They are going by their own way, but they are also finding out the same things which the ancient Indians have already said. So, because truth remains the same, you may find it in different ways, by different methods, by different following different paths, but truth remains the same, and that's why. 4 forms of aap are described in the macro world: Amba, Marichi, Mara, and aap. Amba, in various references in Ved and Upanishads, it described at that which surrounds the sun, and it spreads like an ocean. It fills the whole space, and it is metamorphosed form of Salil, which was present in the evolution of the universe. Now you can understand that this is not water which is surrounding the sun. This must be something different, and that's why this can be compared presently with space plasma, I think. Then in other reference, it is said that this Marichi, it exists like an ocean between outer space and the surface of stars and planets and surrounds them. And you know that stars and planets are not surrounded by water. So again, here planetospheres and magnetospheres, which consist of plasma state, they must be compared with this. So why I'm telling this? Because the concepts of Panchamahabhootas are very tall concepts, and they should not be translated just as water, wind, etc. Mar are all the liquids present on the earth and other planets on the surface of them. And aap are all the liquids which are present underground. So aap in the macro world, we have compared with different things. In micro world, it can be compared with gluons, because Sneha and Bandh, these actions of aap are found in them. And that's why we can say that aap is predominant in them. Prithvi, in brief about that. See, I'm giving only a brief summary of all these references. Otherwise, it will take a long time to explain about. We can talk about only one Mahabhut for a long time. It is told that Murti is important characteristic of Prithvi. So Murti is material form, and that's why it is responsible for providing material form and mass, and that leads to understanding existence at a particular space or particular time, and that is called as avadharanam. We understand the presence of materials which are parthiv very easily. Why? Because we are residents of Prithvi, and therefore Prithvi is dominant in our body also. So whatever is dominated by Prithvi, we understand it easily, and the other things we understand very difficulty. The wind which is present on the earth, according to this ancient concept, it is also made up of all 5 Mahabhutas, but Vayu Mahabhut is predominant in it. Wind present on the surface of the earth, in the commentaries on Ashtanga Hridaya, they have said that it is also Parthiv Vayu. So still we are not able to see the wind. We are not see the air. It is made up of all 5 Mahabhutas, remember, but still we are not able to see it because Vayu dominates in it. So we are not able to imagine about other forms of Mahabhutas which may be present in the other parts of universe. We are imagining only about what is present around us. There may be different other forms of Mahabhut present in different other parts of the universe. Well, it is not yet sure that this is the only universe which exists. There may be many other universes which also may be existing if someone goes on to find them. So in the macro world, all forms of matter in solid state, including stars, planets, etc., are forms of Prithvi. Prithvi is present in them. See, sun is also having material form. Sun is also having, therefore, mass. Therefore, it is having weight. and therefore we will say that Prithvi is present in sun. The principal Prithvi is present in sun also. Sun, it's consisting of various small particles and which are held together. If these particles will escape, then sun will not exist. These particles are held together, and holding together, that means sneha and bandha is due to aap. That's why aap is also present in it. Particles, sun is agneya, no one needs to tell. Agni, light and heat are present in it. That is all right. The particles in the sun, they are continuously in vibratory motions. They bombard on each other, and that's why solar wind like things originate from it. So that means principal Vayu is also present in it. And Prithvi we discussed. Akash is present in it because the particles in the sun are arranged in a specific way. There is a specific configuration of the particles. That's why principal Akash is also present in it. So everything in the universe is made up of all five Mahabhutas. In the micro world, hadrons and leptons, these categories of the particles are Parthiv, that means they are dominated by Prithvi. Now we'll move to the next part, at how we'll understand the predominance of Mahabhutas. So to understand now we understood that everything is made up of all five Mahabhutas, but certain Mahabhutas dominate in certain objects. And if we will understand that which Mahabhuta is dominant in it, then we will able to understand the nature of that object. And for all of us who are practicing, who want to treat the patients, it will be better if we will understand which Mahabhuta is predominant. Accordingly, we will be able to make use of that medicine in the patients. So that's why what are the criteria to understand Mahabhut predominance? So there are various ancient criteria. For example, ancient parameters. For example, guna present in each dravya. On the basis of that, which Mahabhut is predominant, that can be understood. So Akash, Vayu, etc., they are having specific guna associated with them. If these guna are present, then we will understand that yes, Akash is dominant or Vayu is dominant, like that. Then specific rasa or anurasa are present in dravyas, and accordingly also we understand the dominance of Mahabhuts. Vipak, based on that also, Virya, based on Virya also, we can understand predominance of Mahabhutas. Based on karma, that means karma here is about pharmacological actions. There may be Panchamahabhootas are having various actions in the external world also, and Panchamahabhootas are having actions in internal world, that means in the human body also. So based on that, we can understand predominance of Mahabhutas. So in vivo and in vitro, like that. See, for example, Raupya bhasma of silver, it is considered as amla, sour in taste. It's not tasting sour, but still it is considered as amla. Why? Because it performs the actions of amlaras when it enters into the human body. So it is in vivo. Internally, what it does, that is very important. Externally, it is not tasting sour. So that way, for us, this is very important, what it does in the human body. Then Bhumi, in which habitat, where these objects are found. So the Bhumi is also divided on the basis of predominance of Mahabhutas. So Akashiya Bhumi, Vayaviya Bhumi, like that description is given in Sushruta Samhita. Then on the basis of Kala, in which Kala these objects are found, on the basis of that. Certain Kal, certain seasons are dominated by certain Mahabhutas. Then Varna, we discussed about that. And Akar, certain Akar, that we discussed about that. Then which sound is produced when they are broken or they are burned? When a particular object is put on fire, what kind of sound it makes? Or what kind of color is produced while it is burning? On the basis of that also, which Mahabhut is predominant in them, we can identify, and that is described in certain ancient texts. So these are various ancient parameters. Now, 30 years back, when I performed this study on Panchamahabhootas, that time, based on available resources and permissions by higher authorities, whatever was possible, we performed the studies. So we thought that can't we develop more parameters based on the available amenities or available modern sciences these days? Can't we develop more parameters for that? So we made various efforts for that. So first was pharmacopharmaceutical study. So first we designed certain experiments in the pharmacognosy department. And in that, under electron microscope, we thought that we will observe cross sections of certain. What we did is that we took 30 known Agneya drugs, that means which are dominated by Agni. From the text, they have already given the list of Agneya, Parthiv, etc. drugs. So from that, we took 30 Agneya drugs, which are known to be Agneya. And then we will make analysis of them, we'll make experiments on them, and we find what similarities are found in them. And if we will understand about them, we can apply this knowledge on the unknown drugs, and we can find out that which Mahabhutas are dominant in them, and then it will be easy. So that's why certain experiments were performed. So under pharmacognosy department, it was decided that we will take cross sections of these Agneya Dravyas and will understand what kind of structures are formed available in these drugs, what kind of structures can be found in these drugs, what are the similarities in between them structurally. And if you will understand that, then we can understand that, okay, due to predominance of Agni, these kinds of structures are formed or these colors are formed histologically. So, but what happened that we were not allowed to perform that experiment. So what we did that at that time, 30 years back, we searched the journals and the articles published about the histological, that means cross-section studies of these plants. We collected all that material and we compared that. Although we could not perform ourselves. So what we found is that these were the findings. But since experts in that department did not get involved in this, that's why we could not understand the exact significance of that. But what we found, in about 11 drugs, we found available material that time. And I made a lot of efforts. That means I visited the National Chemical Laboratory. I visited Agharkar Research Institute. Various institutes I visited, and from that I collected all that material which was available. And then I searched all the important journals, and from that also I tried to collect the material. But this I could find. So it was found that these are the main things which were found in Agneya drugs histologically. That the cortex was wide in most of the drugs. Then the cork was thick. Then phloem was wide. Xylem was wide. Like that, observations were. What was the significance of that? We could not understand exactly. But what we discussed with some other experts in that field, we understood that, for example, these Agneya Dravyas, mostly they are found in jungle, that means dry lands. And there is scarcity of water. And that's why to retain the water, there are certain changes in them. So in the roots, this cortex or the xylem, phloem, etc., they're wide, so that they can retain the water and the water flow can be facilitated. And that's why that plant can survive. That is the significance of that. So further study is needed on this, so that we can understand that what is the similarity in between this, and that we can apply on the unknown drugs to identify that whether they are Agneya or not. Like that, on all 5 Mahabhut predominant Dravyas, studies can be performed. So I'm giving just few examples. Then we went to pharmaceutical study. We designed different experiments for that. For example, already one experiment was performed at the Research Institute at Jamnagar, that on Sheet and Ushnavirya, and they performed it with a digital thermometer in which minute temperatures can be observed. And they found that powder of Ushna, that means Ushnavirya drugs, that means Agneya, mainly Agneya, if they are added to the water, then the temperature of the water rises. Of course, it will be a minute rise. It will not start boiling as such immediately. But minute rise was observed as compared to the other dravyas which were sheath. So this kind of experiment, this also we could not perform ourselves. We had different ideas and we had already sanctioned them from the research committee. But still, the mindset of people is like that they are not able, they are not ready to perform new things very easily. They're not ready to adopt that. Nothing will come out of this. Why you are performing this? So we said that, okay, if nothing comes out, we will write like that. That no significant similarity was found in them. But let us at least do it. But we could not do it. another experiment which we were supposed to perform, that Agni is said to have urdhva gaman, that means upward movement is found in Agni, and this is found in external world also and in the living body also. So therefore, what we thought, that we will make solutions of Agneya Dravya, and comparative to that we will make solutions of Parthiv Dravya, and with paper column chromatography we will find out that which column rises more. Like that, various experiments can be done, and from which we can understand predominance of Mahabhutas. So few examples I am giving to you. So what we tried to do is that chemical composition of 27 Agneya drugs we could find out at that time out of the 30. And it was these were the similarities which were found. These were the important chemical constituents which were found in the Agneya Dravyas. That volatile oils were more, alkaloids were more. But what is the significance of that? The experts in the field can discuss. But since that time they did not get involved in this, that's why we could not understand the exact significance of that. But like that, this can be studied. So for that purpose, I went to National Chemical Laboratory, and they had made analysis of in detail of various medicinal plants, and from that we gathered this material and we just studied this. Now pharmacological study. So pharmacological studies, that means there are certain actions which the Mahabhutas can perform inside the human body also. So for that purpose, pharmacological studies, and these medicines, they can perform these actions not only on human beings but on animals also. Of course, what actions they will perform on animals and what actions they will perform on human beings, they may not be exactly the same. There will be difference, but we will get some idea. So that's why certain experiments we planned. So for example, one experiment which I designed that time based on the discussions with zoology department of Pune University, then National Institute of Virology in Pune, they had very good animal house, and various other experts in that field. We designed this experiment called as food conversion ratio. So what was the concept? That this known Agneya Dravyas, from that 5 important Dravyas were selected: Chitrak, Marich, Pippali, Jirak, etc. And one control group was kept, and albino rats were taken, and for each group 5 albino rats were taken, and they were kept in separate metabolic cages, and they were given the normal diet which usually is given to them. The same diet was given, no special diet was given, and it is observed that how much they eat. So how much the control group, those albino rats eat, and how much they eat after they are given specific dose of decoctions of this Agneya Dravya was decided as per the body weight of these animals, and that was given to them. And then it was observed that how much they eat. Then those observations were noted. Now for that, all the precautions were taken. For example, there will be urine or water may be mixed with that food material, and that's why the weight may vary. So that weight was taken of the dry material. And then as compared to that, now if they will eat more, then usually they will defecate also more, and that's why their fecal material was collected. Again, dry weight of that was taken, so fecal material was also connected. So what usually will happen, that if they will eat more fecal matter will be observed. But what was observed, that practically, that you can see in this graph, that see in the control group, you can see this is the way the graph looks like. This is the blue bars there indicating the how much food consumption was there, and the red bars there indicating how much fecal material was found. And you can find that the group in Chitrak, they started eating significantly more, and p values of all these except Jirak, its p value was still significant, but the p value of Chitrak, Marich and Pippali was highly significant. So the highly significant difference was seen in their eating, that means their appetite was increased. So Agneya Dravya, they are having Deepan and Pachan, these actions. Deepan means their digestive capacity, that means their eating capacity is increased, and Pachan, they can digest in better way. So they started eating more. Now if they will eat more, then proportionately the fecal material also should rise. But you can see in the graph that the fecal material did not increase in that proportion. And that is the food conversion ratio, that food to fecal material, that conversion. And you can see that significantly improvement was observed in their eating, but in the same way fecal material was not increased. So logically what that means, that they utilized that food more for the development of the growth development of their body. If that really has happened, then what should happen is that weight gain. So these were Agneya Dravya. So they are not nutrients, or they are not giving more nutrition, and they are not known to increase the body weight otherwise. But in control weight, rather weight loss was observed in these, maybe because they were kept in metabolic cage, maybe they were frightened or whatever, maybe the reason. But in the all were kept in the same conditions. So in control group, weight loss was observed, but in the group of Agneya Dravyas, except in Jirak, little gain was observed, but in other groups, significant gain in weight was observed. So that means their digestion had improved, and therefore they could utilize that nutrition. They were eating more, and they could utilize that nutrition to build up their body constituents, and that's why weight gain was observed. So this was observed. This was observed on Deepan and Pachan actions of Agneya Dravyas. Like that, for all five Mahabhutas, different actions are described, and all that different experiments can be designed, animal experiments and other experiments. For example, for Vayavya drugs, they have described that Vichara Glani Karakam. So Vicharana, that means movements. So there are specific instruments available, that means specific cages in which I think gamma rays are thrown, and the animal, if that cuts that beam of the rays, then digitally the movement will be counted. So by using that, and then after giving this Vayavya drugs to them, what happens to their movements, that can be counted. So this is in animals. So that should be understood on the background of the natural activities of that animal. And then again, in human beings, the same effects may not be observed, but we'll get some idea at least. So like that. And then this was the pharmacological experiment which we performed, and which is now used as a standard experiment for Deepan and Pachan in the Institute of Jamnagar till date. So after that, we performed different studies, like clinical study, and in which the main concept was that in jwar, in fever, Sam jwar is described in Ayurveda. So Am is the abnormality produced due to Prithvi and Aap, and therefore a group which is opposite to that is the group of Akash and Vayu. It should be used with the help of Agni, and that's why in the text they have mentioned Tiktaras for the treatment of jwar, which is containing Akash and Vayu Mahabhutas. So that was the concept of Vaidya Datar Shastri, and that was implemented, and for that purpose Guduchi Ghana of that was prepared, and that Guduchi Ghana, that was used in the patients, and very significant results were obtained. And people told that Navat jwar, that means newly originated jwar, that means recently the person today or within 1 or 2 days he has got jwar. So such patients who will come to for Ayurvedic treatment to you, they will take modern antipyretic medicines, and they will go to office. Who will come to you? But as we started using this medicine, the patient got such good results that we got sufficient number of patients. But even after our study was completed, still patients kept on coming demanding this medicine. So it was very significant results were observed. So like that, on Panchamahabhootas, we performed different scientific experiments and studies, and to understand the Mahabhut predominance. And also in the literary study, we compared it with the modern present day understanding of modern science, and we compared it to understand the Panchamahabhootas. So this all these concepts can be applied clinically, and I will give only one example of that, and I will conclude. So why it is important to think about Panchamahabhutas in practice? Because in the text we find that the treatment is described on the basis of Tridosh, but remember that Tridosh are also made up of Panchamahabhut, and the medicines which we are using, they are also made up of Panchamahabhut. The human body is also made up of Panchamahabhut, and we select specific medicines based on their guna, which are also Panchabhautik guna, Gurvadi guna. And that's why if we will understand Mahabhutas, then we will be understanding the things in depth, and therefore our understanding will be better. We will be having better accuracy, and therefore our results will be also better and quick. And that's why it is important. For example, Anshansha Kalpana, that means we know that Vat Prakop has taken place, but whether Vayu Mahabhut in that is increased or Akash Mahabhut in that is increased, the treatment will differ. So in the same way, in Pitta, Sam and Niram Pitta are described, and in Pitta, in the Jwara Chikitsa Adhyay, they described about Ruksha Tej. So in that, Chakrapani has commented that Sadrav and Nirdrav Pitta, two types are described. So based on that, the dominance of Mahabhutas, that means in Nirdrav Pitta, Agni and Vayu is helping it, and that's why Shoshan is performed of the Dhatus. That happens. That is not happening in Sadrava Pitta. So here is one case based on this concept. In 2000, one 4-year girl came and she had delayed speech till now. After 4 years also she was not speaking, and actually she was considered as retarded, and they were about to get her admitted to the school, special school for retarded children. She had a history of frequent fever, throat pain since birth, and she was taking homeopathic treatment for that, and she had delayed speech. Other significant symptoms were that she was having very much anger. She will get angry very soon, and she was hyperactive. So what we understood that due to recurrent fever, that Ushma, that Agni remained inside her body, and it was helped by Vayu, and that's why Shoshan of Dhatus was taking place. The same effect was produced on Indriyas also, and that's why Indriya could not function properly, and that's why her speech was not developed. That was according to the concept of Datar Shastri. So, but when we examined her, we found that she was having almost normal cognizance. She was following the instructions, but she was having little less appetite. So Ayurvedic examination is also very important, but I'm not going in details of that. Her nadi was Vyan and Pitta, and Tanu, that means it was Niram nadi. The treatment, Paripathadi Vat, as per the guidance of Datar Shastri, it was given so that this Ruksha Tej or Agni, which is lean in the body, that will be moved out, and then to give sthiratva to the dhatus, to give strength to the dhatus, and ultimately Oj will be developed, and ultimately Indriya will also be strengthened. For that purpose, Praval, Makshik, Anantamula and Raupya Bhasma was given. Raupya Bhasma is having actions up to the level of Indriya, Man and Buddhi also. So that's why it was selected, and that was given with Anupana Grita. I'm not explaining why at specific times it was given and why only these specific medicines were selected, because it will take time. And Brahmi was selected as Medhya drug because Brahmi acts in Pitta Pradhan conditions, and she was having more anger, and here lean Pitta Agni was there, and that's why Brahmi was specifically selected. After only after 1 week, we repeated the same treatment for 2 weeks. So total 3 weeks treatment. So on that, in the second follow-up, we found that her appetite was increased, hyperactiveness was slightly decreased, anger was decreased. And after 21 days, it was found that after 1 week only, it was found that she was trying to speak something. So after 3 weeks, just 3 weeks, it was found that appetite was normal, hyperactivity was very significantly reduced, anger was significantly reduced, and she had already started speaking a few words, and her cognizance was also increased. And so see, with this concept, within just 21 days, that girl started speaking. Then they admitted her to normal school, and she's now, I think, graduate by now. So this is the importance of the concepts. So once we understand the concepts, we can put them into the practice, and we can solve some cases which are otherwise not solved by the routine treatments. So that's why it is very important to understand the concept of Panchamahabhut and to apply it into the practice. And here, this subject is very much vast, and we tried to cover this subject in brief. There are various other concepts related to Panchamahabhut which can be put into practice, but it will take a long time, so I'm not presenting them at present. So I thank the organizers for giving me the opportunity to speak on this subject. And I thank all of the listeners for patient listening. And I'm hopeful that this will be useful for all the listeners. And you can communicate to me. My numbers to communicate and other email and other things are given. So if you are interested in understanding more about this, you can communicate later on to me. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for such a wonderful, very, very in-depth, very informative webinar. Great presentation. And all the concepts like ancient text as well as the modern physics, what are the similarities in these concepts? You explained it so well. It was amazing with lots of references and also the clinical application of it. It was wonderful. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
So I see there is a question in the chat. So Dr. Kirti has a question. Sir, how can the lab reports findings be understood on the basis of Panchamahabhut like hemoglobin, SGOT, SGPT, etc.?
May take a long time. First, we'll have to understand on the basis of Tridosh, and then which Mahabhut is predominant in that dosh. That means, for example, we learned that Kapha is made up of Aap and Prithvi mainly. So whether Aap is dominant or Prithvi. So for example, I will just give you one example how this can be. I cannot exactly tell about SGOT, SGPT immediately. Here in SGPT, SGOT, when they are increased, usually Pitta is increased. So we have to understand that it is Sam Pitta or Niram Pitta or what, and accordingly we have to treat it. But I will give you one example that for understanding Tushta Rakta, they have given various parameters. For example, so for that, this laboratory investigations or modern investigations, what we want to see from Ayurvedic perspective, some of the investigations may be useful for that. Then there is another category that some of the investigations may not be useful for us, and there may be some more investigations which we need to develop. For example, Varna are described in our text. For example, Rakta, in that which Varna, and accordingly abnormalities are described. So Prakrut and Vikrut Varna of Rakta. So on the basis of colorimeter, we can find out exact color, and then with a computerized method, we can find out exact shade of that. And accordingly, we can measure that color. And then accordingly, we can find out the changes in color. So like that, now this is not done in the modern laboratories, but in we may develop one Ayurvedic laboratory, and in that this can be done. So like that, different things can be done. It is certain things we can take help of modern investigations which are presently existing. So for example, in Pitta Pradhan Rakta Dushti, they have told that Styayati Aushnyat Chirenacha, blood clotting takes place after a long time. So bleeding and clotting time, this can help us to understand this concept in Ayurveda. So from Ayurvedic perspective, what we want to see, and then accordingly, which modern investigations may be helpful for that, or which more investigations we may develop. Like that, we will have to think. Exactly the present day reports, they may not exactly help as it is for our understanding. You'll have to see them from Ayurvedic perspective.
Excellent, excellent. Thank you so much. And I have a very quick question. I know like we are out of time, but just regarding the Prithvi, why it is represented with the symbol of square, not round? Like, if you can just explain briefly.
No, that, actually no reason can be given because they have used the symbols. But Prithvi, we are thinking about only Earth. But Prithvi Mahabhut is not just Earth. That's what I'm trying to convey from my all the lecture. Prithvi or Earth is not exactly Prithvi Mahabhut only. So in the sun also Prithvi Mahabhut is present. Everywhere Prithvi Mahabhut is present. So that's why we should, since Earth is having round shape, that's why we should not think that the Prithvi Mahabhut should be represented with round shape. That way we should not think. Now gears are there, no? And motion for motions round shaped, and gears in that square shapes are added to that so that the motions can be controlled. So there are square shapes are added, which are indicative of Prithvi. Like that we can understand.
Makes sense. Wonderful. All right. So thank you so much for attending the webinar, everybody. Please watch and subscribe to our CAR YouTube channel to view the earlier webinars and also the other presentations. Please like and comment, share the videos. Once again, I invite you all to become a member of CAR. You can also subscribe to our IU update newsletter to stay tuned with our projects as well as different events. If you have any questions, feel free to contact me at ayurvedaresearchusa@gmail.com or asavari@mnayurveda.com. Thank you so much for explaining this wonderful, very, very profound and foundational concept of Mahabhut. Thank you.